So in the last class, good morning to all. In the last class, I was explaining 3 topics from the syllabus 1, unit 1. One is antenna noise temperature. Second one, effective aperture. Third one, radiation from an oscillating dipole. And the fourth topic, folded dipole. 4 topics we have seen. Antenna noise temperature, effective aperture, radiation from oscillating dipole, and the fourth one is folded dipole. Today, let me give a very brief idea about half-wave dipole, and then we'll move to the unit number 2. So radiation from half-wave dipole or monopole. Before that, what we did in the previous derivation, radiation from oscillating dipole, we have taken a smaller current element, ideal cos omega t, at the center of spherical coordinate system. At distant point P, first we got a vector potential A Z. So from the vector potential A Z, we got an expression for H pi. Using Maxwell equation, from H pi, first E suffix R, then E theta we got it. So in this topic, 3 expressions are very important. Expression for H pi, then ER and E theta. That means we were evaluating the electric and the magnetic field at point P from the center of the origin, from the center of the spherical coordinate system. Why center means I was placing this current element, that is the oscillating dipole or a short dipole, or maybe oscillating dipole or oscillating current element at the center of the spherical coordinate system. And we got the expression for ER, H pi and E theta. But remember, this current element, alternating current element is ideal in nature. Practically, such a current element or an antenna does not exist. So we want to find the radiation strength of H pi and H factor and E factor from half-wave dipole or monopole. So half-wave dipole and the monopole are the standard, very basic standard practical antennas available in the market. So there are 2 antennas, half-wave dipole and monopole. So what is half-wave dipole? Half-wave dipole means the length will be lambda by 2. Monopole means length will be lambda by 4. It is also called quarter wave monopole. I suppose that you would have come across quarter wave transformer in transmission line and waveguide. Quarter wave transformer means lambda by 4. So here also there is a monopole called length lambda by 4. It is also called quarter wave monopole. Half-wave dipole means length lambda by 2. So we are having same topic for radiation from half-wave dipole and monopole. If I use lambda by 2 throughout the calculation, it is half-wave dipole. If I employ lambda by 4 throughout the derivation, it is called radiation from monopole. So for both the antennas, the topic is common. And you can see the diagram here. This is the diagram. Dipole I am placed here. Dipole means double poles will be there. This is pole 1 and this one is pole 2. And this one is the center of the antenna or axis of the antenna. Length, the total length is L. That means one pole element is L by 2. If L equal to 2H means this is H, a radiator of H, a radiator of length H. So we are having minus H and plus H. If I consider both the dipole, it is called half-wave dipole. If I consider only the upper portion, it is called monopole. So monopole is a single radiator, whereas dipole is a double radiator. So here it is shown here, half-wave dipole means length L by 2. Length is actually L by 2, one dipole. But the physical length is lambda by 2. Quarter wave monopole, the physical length is lambda by 4. You can also see that the current distribution. Whereas in the previous topic, we have taken the alternating current element as very smaller in size as well as length. So uniform current will be flowing. But here, Uniform current will not be flowing. You can see the maximum current distribution at the center, minimum current distribution at the end. So at the end, we are having minimum current distribution, maximum here at the center. But various in the previous topic, we have assumed that uniform current distribution throughout the current element. So that is one more difference here. And this one is the monopole. Monopole, this is the ground. Ground are the reflecting surface. This one is the monopole. That is one dipole element. But one of the pole of the dipole is called monopole. So at point P, distance R, we are trying to calculate the radiation strength in terms of a magnetic field and a electric field. So initially, we are writing an expression for current I. Current I is having two expressions. One is Im sin beta H minus Z, H plus Z. Z greater than 0. That means for the upper portion, Im sin beta H minus Z. For the lower portion, Im sin beta H plus Z. So we are writing Z greater than 0, Z less than 0. Then we are measuring the, as usual to the previous topic, we are measuring the expression for vector potential at point P. dA Z. This is equation number 3. From equation number 3, I am integrating. Why? When I integrate only, I will get A Z. So when I do integration, I do some manipulation and calculation. So finally, I will get A Z value equal to this one. A Z value equal to mu Im e power minus j beta r divided by 2 pi beta r cos function divided by sin function. This is the vector potential in terms of permeability, maximum value of the current, beta, r and theta. And finally, we apply Maxwell equation. Using Maxwell equation, we are going to find del cross A bar pi using that H pi. So get an expression for H pi in terms of Im, beta, r and theta. From H pi, we know that E theta by H pi equal to eta. Eta means efficiency. So we know the value of H pi. Eta value is 120 pi. This is called interscenic impedance value. 120 pi. Interscenic impedance value in free space eta. So the value is 120 pi. 120 into 3.14. Using this expression, if I know the value of H pi, E theta can be calculated. So that is given here, E theta. So here also, initially we are writing the expression for Im, then dA Z. Integrating that, we get a vector potential A Z. From A Z, using Maxwell equation H pi. From H pi, the basic formula, we are getting E theta. Of course, this expression is very simple when compared to the previous one. So if you are able to understand the previous expression, that is radiation from oscillating current element, this topic becomes very, very easier. And off-air dipole and monopole are practical antenna, whereas oscillating current element is a ideal antenna. So these are the topics under unit 1. So there is a model question mark at the end. These are the possible part A questions. There is definition defining antenna, isotropic antenna, radiation pattern, like that. Some 23 questions are there, 23 part A questions are there, followed by part B. 7 part B questions are there. So thereby this unit 1 is over. Let's go to unit 2. Unit 2 is visible, PPT. Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, antennas and propagation, unit 2, antenna array. So far under unit 1, what we have seen will give an idea. We have seen the definition for various antenna parameter, started with the radiation pattern, then radiation pattern, then comes radiation intensity, radiation density, input impedance, antenna impedance, antenna input impedance, then gain, directivity, polarization, mismatch, balloon, Finally, folded dipole and the two derivation. Two derivation we have seen. One is radiation from oscillating current element. The second one is radiation from half-wave dipole or monopole. Both the derivations are very, very important. I'm telling now itself. So there is one question I'm leaking out for both the internal examination as well as for the university examination. Radiation from oscillating current element and radiation from half-wave dipole, either one will appear in the examination, definitely. Whether it is going to be an internal or a university examination. So that question is very important. So you have to become thorough with those two derivation. If you understand the course of derivation, things will become very easier. So definition of antenna parameter, then radiation from oscillating current element, radiation from half-wave dipole, folded dipole are the topics we have discussed under unit 1. Now unit 2, antenna array. These are the possible topics under unit number 2. One more thing I will tell you, this is the easiest unit in the subject antennas and propagation. Very easier. You can see the number of topics are very less and very easy to understand when compared to unit 1. So this is the easiest unit under antennas and propagation. You can see that n element linear array, pattern multiplication. There are two types of array, broadside array and end-fire array. I was telling in the previous unit, radiation from oscillating current element and radiation from half-wave dipole are important. So this unit also, there are two important topics which strike very often in the university examination. Number one is broadside array. Second one is end-fire array. These are these two topics are very important. Any one of them will have highest probability in the examination. Now, introduction to antenna array. Before going to the topic, let us see what is an antenna array. Why should I go for an array? In mathematics, you would have come across the word array. In mathematics as well as in C++ programming. Array means a number of elements will be available. And all the elements will be similar in nature. For example, you are creating an integer array, integer A of 10. That means 0 to 9 locations will be there. 10 elements are available. All the 10 elements are integer in nature. That is called an array. Array means a number of elements having similar property or symmetrical property is called an array. We want to go for an array antenna. So far, we are discussing about individual antenna, especially half-wave dipole antenna. Because for many of our calculation, we'll be using only that standard antenna, half-wave dipole antenna, comprising two poles, length lambda by 2 is called half-wave dipole. But I am not satisfied with the gain and directivity of a single antenna or an individual antenna. I want to go for higher gain, higher directivity. You know very well, gain and directivity are related to each other. Once again, I tell the mathematical equation. G equal to K into D. K is nothing but antenna efficiency factor. D is directivity. G is gain. Gain will be always less than the directivity. So the gain and the directivity for a single antenna is very low. I cannot go for the application like point-to-point communication, radar and space communication. Space communication, especially satellite communication, my minimum frequency is 1 gigahertz. So I cannot go below 1 gigahertz. So for the high frequency application, I cannot depend upon individual antenna. I have to go for an array antenna. That means a number of similar elements put together is called antenna array. So in that case, I can accomplish both the higher gain and the higher directivity, thereby increasing the electrical size of the antenna. I am not increasing the physical size of the antenna. I am going to increase the electrical size of the antenna or geometric configuration, thereby gain and directivity will be increased. And in this antenna array, the elements of the array will be identical in nature. That's what we say the system of similar antenna. The purpose is to get higher directivity in the desired direction. So remember, all our antennas are directional in nature. Majority antennas are directional in nature. Directional nature means maximum radiation in a particular direction, minimum radiation in other direction is called directivity in higher directivity in desired direction. So there are 5 control to shape the overall radiation pattern of the antenna. 5 important parameters are there. One is geometrical configuration of the array. It may be a linear, circular, rectangular, spherical. Second one, displacement between the element. Suppose I go for 10 element antenna array. What is the space between each and every element? Space between element 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, like that. I have to look for the displacement between the element. Then amplitude of the individual element. So what is the current flowing through each and every element? What is the amplitude of each and every element? And the phase between adjacent element. Phase means two elements will come into picture, element 1 and 2. For example, element 1 and 2, what is the phase difference? Element 1, what is the amplitude of the current flowing? Element 2, what is the amplitude of the current flowing? Then relative pattern of the individual element. These are the 5 parameters which decide the overall radiation pattern of the antenna. What are the types of antenna arrays? So there are 4 types of antenna arrays are available. Broadside array, abbreviated as BSA, end-fire array, EFA, collinear array and parasitic array. Let us see one by one in detail. Broadside array. Broadside array, have a look in this diagram. This is the diagram for a broadside antenna array. I call it as broadside antenna array. So in this diagram, 7 elements are there. Element 1 from A0 to A6. 7 elements are available. And there is a dotted line goes in the center. This is called antenna array axis, axis of the array, or axis of the total setup. Where A0 to A6 are antenna element, each and every element. You can see the distance between each and every element, small letter d. Small letter d is the distance between each element. And the 2 more parameters are also available. Maximum radiation and see, you can see the maximum radiation goes in this direction. So I can put it broadside array means the maximum radiation is perpendicular to axis of the antenna array. Or in other words, I can say you have a plane of antenna elements 7 put together. So in this plane, the maximum radiation comes perpendicular to the plane containing the antenna element. It is called broadside array. Or in other words, I can say broadside array is an antenna array where maximum radiation is perpendicular to axis of the antenna array. This is the axis of the antenna array. This one is the maximum radiation. So they are perpendicular to each other. In that case, I can call this type of antenna array as a broadside array. So that is what explained here. And each and every antenna element, we are feeding the current with equal magnitude and the same phase. To end-fire array. What is end-fire array? It is similar to broadside array, but the main difference, direction of maximum radiation. You can see the end-fire array. This is the diagram for end-fire array. Diagram for end-fire array. There are 5 antenna elements, A0, A1, A2, A3 and A4. Center, axis of the antenna array. Distance between each and every antenna element, small letter d. But see the direction of maximum radiation, it goes along the axis of the antenna array. So I can define this antenna array, end-fire array. It is defined as an antenna array in which direction of maximum radiation available along the axis of the antenna array. Once again, I will show you the difference between the broadside array. You can see the broadside array, maximum radiation is coming perpendicular to the axis of the antenna array. But antenna elements are uniform in size, spacing between them is equal, amplitude also equal. Same thing applicable for end-fire array also, doesn't matter. But there is only one difference. We are getting maximum radiation along the axis of the antenna array. So such an array is called end-fire array or EFA. Let us go to collinear array. I will show the diagram of collinear array. So these are the 2 diagrams of collinear array. There are 2 types available under collinear array. I call it this one as vertical collinear array. This one as horizontal collinear array. So why it is called vertical? It is vertically planted. It is vertically planted over the ground surface. This is the ground surface. This one is the ground surface. This one is the ground surface. It is vertically planted. This one is horizontally planted. Again, you can see the direction of maximum radiation. and this one is the axis of the antenna array. See the direction of maximum radiation perpendicular to axis of the antenna array. Length of the antenna array is L. So there are 4 antenna elements available, A0, A1, A2 and A3. But specifically end-to-end connection is available. So I can call collinear array an advanced version of broadside array having end-to-end connection. But there we don't have any end-to-end connection, but here we are having end-to-end connection. So here also 4 antenna elements are available. See the maximum radiation perpendicular to axis of the array. So the nature is similar to broadside array, but end-to-end connection is available. You can have a vertical collinear array and a horizontal collinear array. Now parasitic array. I think you would have come across this word parasitic in biology. Parasitic means depending on something. Parasitic means it's not an active element. It's a passive element, depends upon something. So what depends upon what? We can see the diagram. I hope you would have seen this antenna sometime back. Nowadays we are not using this type of antenna. We are using only dish antenna nowadays. But this antenna, it was used by the domestic people some 20 years back. This antenna is called parasitic array or Yagi antenna. You can see that 2 types of elements are available here. Sorry, 3 types of elements are available. The first one is reflector. The second one is dipole. The other are called director. So there are 3 elements available: director, dipole, and reflector. The 4th element is transmission line. So first of all, when you see a diagram, you must be able to understand what are the things available. 4 elements are available here. Number 1 is director. Number 2 is folded dipole. See, the dipole is folded. The 3rd one is reflector. And the 4th one is a transmission line. So through the transmission line only, we are getting the signal from the folded dipole. And see, the antenna is directional. So it is directed in this direction. This one is focusing in this direction. So directors will direct to a particular direction. Reflector will prevent the radiation going outside the dipole. So here, even though 3 elements are available, the active element is only the folded dipole. The folded dipole alone will be the active element. The director and the reflector will be the passive element, or we call it as parasitic element. So what are called parasitic elements? Parasitic elements do not excite by themselves. They will get the electromagnetic energy from the dipole and then they will excite themselves. Exciting means what? When we pass a current through an element, the element gets excited. So where we are passing the signal? We are passing the signal from the transmission line to the dipole. Here at the center of the dipole. This one is called folded half-wave dipole. Maybe the length lambda by 2. So this dipole is nothing but the active element. Reflector, and we are having in the diagram we are having 5 directors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 directors and 1 reflector available. So the director and the reflector are the parasitic element. Parasitic element means they don't depend upon themselves. They depend upon the dipole for excitation. That is why it is called parasitic element. Only one active element dipole is there. The total antenna is called parasitic array or Yagi antenna. So from the beginning, what we have seen means why should I go for an antenna array? What are the 5 parameters binding with the antenna array? By using an antenna array, what are the advantages I am going to get? Maximum gain, maximum directivity. So classification of antenna array: broadside array, end-fire array, collinear array, and parasitic array. 4 types of array. Let us go to the subject. Topic 1. Now we come across derivations for the next 3 topics. Topic 1, array of 2-point sources. So I am taking only an array which comprises only 2 elements. Now the question is, why should I go for a 2-element array? It is the simplest array available. If it is a single element, means it is not an array. Array means 2 or more similar elements put together is called an array. So to do some manipulation, I go for the simplest array available. So what is the simplest array available? Two element array available. So I go for an two element antenna array. Array of 2-point sources. Two sources means radiator or antenna element. So for the greater number of pointer source in the array, the analysis becomes complicated and time consuming. So I take a very simple array, I do some manipulation and calculation, then I will go for n number of n number of sources in an array, n point array. In that way, we will not come across a complicated situation and a time consuming thing. So the simplest condition of number of point sources in the array is 2. So we go for a 2-point array. So let us consider an array of 2 isotropic point sources. I was telling the meaning of isotropic. Isotropic means ideal in nature. Practically does not exist. Hypothetically, it is imaginary. So I go for an array of 2 impracticable antennas or radiator with a distance of separation d between them. So I've taken 2 antenna elements. One is A1, another one is A2. They are isotropic in nature. That means they are ideal in nature, and the distance between them is d, small letter d. And the polarization of both the antennas is assumed to be same. The polarization of the first antenna element and the second antenna element both are found to be the same. But now I will come across 3 conditions with respect to this 2-point array. Current of equal magnitude and the same phase. Because now 2 things will come into picture. One is magnitude, another one is the phase. Magnitude and amplitude both are same. So what is amplitude? There is a current flow into the first antenna element. There is a current flow into the second antenna element. So both the current may have equal amplitude or magnitude, and there may be 0-degree phase difference or 180-degree phase difference or any other phase difference may be available. Sometimes the magnitude may be unequal also. So we come across 3 conditions here. Equal magnitude and the same phase. Second condition, equal magnitude and the opposite phase. Third condition, unequal magnitude and any phase. Unequal magnitude and any phase. That means the phase may be different or the same. So now there are 3 conditions available with this setup. What is your setup? 2-point antenna array. What are you going to do? Under these 3 conditions, I want to draw the radiation pattern. The radiation pattern for case 1, the radiation pattern for case 2, the radiation pattern for case 3. So why should I go for a radiation pattern? By seeing the radiation pattern, I can tell in which direction maximum radiation is available, in which direction minimum radiation is available. By looking at the radiation pattern, I can judge, I can conclude the performance of that particular antenna under such a condition that we are going to see now. So case 1. Case 1, just have a look at this figure 1, 2-element array. Figure 1, 2-element array. Let us see what are the things available in the figure. First antenna element. Second antenna element number 2. Distant P. At this distance only I am going to measure the radiation. Distant point P. R1. Distance between the source 1 or the first antenna element and the point P. R2. Distance between the second antenna element and the point P. D. Distance between antenna element and the 2. This one, center place or origin. The middle place between antenna element and the antenna element 2. It is called as origin. So at the center point, the distance between the center point and the distant point is small letter r. R1, R, R2. What is angle pi? Angle pi is nothing but the phase, the angle difference between the horizontal line or the ground and the array or the radiation. The angle between the radiation and the ground surface is called angle pi. And we are drawing this in x and y axis. that is two-dimensional plane. This is the example of a figure for two-element array. Let us go one by one. Consider 2 point sources 1 by 1 and 2 separated by a distance t. Now, first case, both are supplied with equal magnitude and equal phase as shown in figure. And assuming the far field observation, let us assume that R1 equal to R equal to R2. But you can see that distance R1 is more, R2 is very smaller. But I am going to measure the field at the distant point. Let us assume R1 equal to R2 equal to R. We are assuming that. And radiation from the second antenna will reach the point P rather than the radiation from the antenna element 1. Now, what is the path difference? The extra distance is traveled by the radiated wave from the point source 1 than by the wave radiated from the point source 2. So, this is the extra distance. What is the extra distance? This extra distance is traveled by antenna element 1. So, this angle is pi. This angle is pi. Distance is d by 2. What is the extra distance? D by 2 cos pi. Pythagoras theorem. This one is the distance traveled by the first element. This one is the distance traveled by the second antenna element. This one is very smaller, this one is bigger. How to create a relation between these two distances? This distance is extra. This distance is extra. Double. Here one and here another. Positive and negative. So d by 2. This is angle pi, this one is d by 2. So this portion is called d by 2 cos pi. So one more d by 2 cos pi will be the path difference between 1 and 2. So the path difference equal to d by 2 cos pi plus d by 2 cos pi equal to d cos pi, equation 1. So I am adding because I am finding out the path difference. So d cos pi is the path difference. D cos pi is the path difference between R1 and R2. That's what's shown mathematically here. Now path difference equal to d by lambda cos pi. General formula. D is the distance, lambda wavelength, and pi is the angle between the radiation and the axis. So path difference equal to d by lambda cos pi. Phase difference. So what do you mean by the phase difference? We are coming across two radiation. Why? Two antenna elements are there, 1 and 2. So the total phase difference between the radiation coming out from antenna 1 and 2 is called psi. Psi is given by, the phase difference psi is given by 2 pi into path difference. So 2 pi into d by lambda cos pi. It becomes 2 pi d. It becomes 2 pi d by lambda cos pi, and it becomes k lambda cos pi. Now let us assume E1 is the field strength from the first source, E2 is the field strength from the second source. So from the first source, you will get a negative sign. Why? Means it starts from the negative plane. So E0 e power minus j psi by 2. This one starts from the positive side. So E2 equal to E0 e power j psi by 2. So here negative, here positive, amplitude are same. Amplitude are same, they are having same phase. But since it starts from the negative side, it is minus sign. Here it is positive sign. Now I want to calculate the total field at the point P. So what is the total field? We have to add them because I am having two antenna elements. So field strength from the first antenna element, field strength from the second antenna element, I will be adding together. I will get ET. ET equal to E1 plus E2. I am substituting this value. E1 and E2, I am substituting this value. Then I am taking E0 common. Then I am applying the trigonometric formula. So divided by 2 means we will get cos function. So when I am dividing by 2, it becomes cos. So I should multiply 2 E0 cos psi by 2, equation 3. So any difficulty at this point? Sai Ganesh, Rudra Verma. Shall I proceed? Okay. So the third equation is given here. Et equal to 2 E0 cos of psi by 2. And substituting the value of psi, where is the value of psi? Psi equal to psi equal to KD cos pi. I'm substituting here KD cos pi. Psi equal to KD cos pi in this angle. It becomes 2 E naught cos of KD cos pi divided by 2. So the above equation represents the total field intensity at point P due to 2 point sources having equal current and equal phase. Now, what is the maximum value? How to find out the maximum value? If 2 E naught equal to 1, I will get the maximum value. So the total amplitude of the value is 2 E naught, while the phase shift is KD cos pi by 2. So for the first case, I got an expression now. What is the first case? An antenna of 2 array point sources having same amplitude and the same phase. This one is the expression, total field strength. 2 E naught is the amplitude. This one is the angle part. Now let us go to, let us find out the radiation pattern for this one. How to find out the radiation pattern? In the radiation pattern, I need 3 points. One is maxima direction, second one minima direction, third one half hour point direction. If I'm able to find out the angle, I'll be able to draw the radiation pattern. So for case 1 is same amplitude and the same phase. I got the expression for the total field strength EP equal to 2 E naught cos of KD KD cos pi by 2, in which I'm going to find out the maxima direction, minima direction, and as well as half power point. If I'm able to find out this direction means maximum angle. If I know the maxima angle, minima angle, and as well as half hour point angle, I will be able to plot the angle in a graph. Then I can draw a diagram. I will get the radiation pattern. By looking at the radiation pattern, I can comment this one is a broadside array. This one is a end-fire array. This one is having maximum direction in this direction. Minima direction is available in other direction. Like that, I can come to a conclusion. So for that only, we are trying to draw the radiation pattern. So first of all, I want to find out the maxima direction for case 1. We are discussing only case 1. 2 array point array, case 1 only we are discussing. So the total field is maximum. When the total field will maximum, when the cos factor becomes maximum. So when the maximum value of cos function will become maximum, plus or minus 1. So cos of KD cos pi divided by 2 equal to plus or minus 1. This is the condition for maxima. So with the condition for maxima, I will be able to find out the angle. Now I am substituting this value. A equal to 2 pi by lambda, D equal to lambda by 2 in this equation. Then I'm substituting, and then I'm manipulating cos of pi by 2 cos pi equal to plus or minus 1. I want the pi maximum because maxima direction. To find out pi maximum, this cos is going that side. So cos inverse of plus or minus 1, plus or minus n pi, plus or minus n pi, where n equal to 0, 1, 2. Where n equal to 0, 1, 2. I'm substituting n equal to 0 in the above equation. I will get pi by 2 cos pi maximum equal to 0. So pi by 2 both the assignments will become 0. Cos pi maximum equal to 0. When cos will become 0, when pi maximum equal to 90 degree or 270 degree, you will get 0. So maximum direction will be available in 2 angles. One is 90 degree, another one is 270 degree. One is 90 degree, another one is 270 degree. So likewise, we have to find minima direction and the half power point direction. Let us go to minima direction. Minima direction, same thing. Same cos of this angle when it will become minimum. When the cos function is 0. So I'm assigning 0 to this value. I'm substituting k equal to 2 pi by lambda, d equal to lambda by 2. I will get this equation. Then I will find it out pi minimum. This angle is called pi minimum. So pi minimum equal to plus or minus pi by 2. So I will get pi minimum equal to pi minimum. What is the value available here? Pi minimum equal to 90 or 180 degree. Am I correct? Pi minimum equal to 0 or 180 degree. So pi minimum equal to 0 or 180 degree. So I got the minimum angle. See the previous case, I got 90 and 270 for maxima. 0 and 180 for minima. But similarly, I want to find the half power point direction. How to find out the half power point? So when the power will be off, when voltage or current is 1 by root 2. What is 1 by root 2? 0.707 times the maximum value is 1 by root 2. So I equate this cos angle to plus or minus 1 by root 2. Then I find out the equation. Angle HPD, pi HPD equal to plus or minus 60 degree or plus or minus 120 degree. So now I know the angle for maxima, angle for minima, angle for off power point. I will go to the diagram now. Case 1, equivalent amplitude and the phase. The radiation pattern is available in this form. Just have a look at the diagram. When you are able to understand the diagram, it becomes easier to understand the concept. So where we started with a 2-point array. 3 cases are there. Equal amplitude and equal phase. Equal amplitude and opposite phase, second category. Third category, unequal amplitude and any phase. We are discussing about case 1, equal amplitude and the phase. Ultimately, what is our objective means? We want to draw the radiation pattern of case 1. How to draw the radiation pattern? First of all, obtain an expression for the total electric field at a distant point P from the antenna array. We got an expression for ET. Here we got an expression for ET. The total field at a distant point P from the antenna array is given by this. And when it will become maximum, when cos of this one become maximum. So with that, I equal to plus or minus 1 to find out the maximum direction. I got angle 90 degree or 270 degree. Same thing, when it becomes minimum, I will get the minimum value. Pi minimum equal to 0 or 180 degree. Off power point, 1 by root 2 the times the maximum value. I get plus or minus 60 degree or plus or minus 120 degree. Then I go to the diagram and see the maximum direction. Pi equal to 90 degree, pi equal to 270 degree. Maximum direction is available perpendicular. Minima direction. Pi equal to 0 degree, pi equal to 180 degree. Off power point, plus or minus 60. See, this is positive, this one is negative. Plus or minus 120. So after plotting that, we can draw the radiation pattern. So this radiation pattern in the form of a figure of 8, and 1/8 is available. So if you can see the maximum direction, you can see the maximum radiation, not in a particular direction, it is bidirectional. You can see it is bidirectional to the axis of the array. So we are obtaining a figure of 8 pattern for case 1. Now let us go to case 2. So what is case 2? Current equal in amplitude but opposite in phase. So current equal in magnitude, opposite in phase means what? The phase difference is 180 degree. The current flow through the antenna element equal in amplitude but 180 degree out of phase with each other. So here also we have to calculate the total field at the far point P. It is given by ET equal to minus E1 plus E2. See the previous case, ET equal to E1 plus E2. But here minus E1 plus E2. This minus sign indicate they are 180 degree out of phase with each other, but they are equivalent amplitude. So E1, E0 e power minus j psi by 2. E2, E0 e power j psi by 2. I'm just adding. When I'm add, I will get ET equal to one negative sign in the middle. Negative sign means you will get a sine function, trigonometric function. Since we are dividing by 2 the formula, we are multiplying by 2. You will get j 2 E0 sine psi by 2 is the total electric field strength for case number 2. Actually, we have not done the substitutions. We have for the first case. We have directly come here. We want to save the time. So directly we are jumping to the total field strength. We have not shown k equal to 2 pi by lambda, d equal to lambda by 2, psi total phase difference and all. We are not mentioned here. We are directly jumping to the total field strength. Now psi equal to KD cos phi. This we have already seen. I'm substituting the value of psi in the angle part. So ET equal to J2E0 sine of KD cos phi divided by 2. So when I put J2E0 equal to 1, I will get the normalized pattern. You know the meaning of normalized pattern, dividing by the maximum value. So the normalized value of ET equal to sine of KD cos phi by 2. With the normalized value only, we are jumping to maxima direction. So here also, we are calculating maxima, minima, and then half power point direction. See the maxima direction. In the previous one, we got cos angle. Here we got sine of angle, sine angle KD cos phi by 2. When it will become maximum, when it is plus or minus 1. So sine of this portion equal to plus or minus 1. Substitute k equal to 2 pi by lambda, d equal to lambda by 2. I'm substituting this value here. I get this expression. And once again, I substitute n equal to 0. Pi maximum will be cos inverse of plus or minus 1. That is pi maximum equal to 0 or 180 degree. Minima direction. You can see the minimum direction also here. Sine of angle KD cos phi by 2 is minimum. So when it will become minimum, when sine value equal to 0. So I'm equating to 0. When I equal to 0, substitute k equal to 2 pi by lambda, d equal to lambda by 2, you will get sine of pi by 2 cos phi equal to 0. Then substitute here, you will get pi minimum equal to 0, cos of pi minimum equal to 0. So pi minimum equal to cos inverse of 0. So that is pi minimum equal to 90 or 270 degree. Similarly, half power point direction. Half power point direction means 1 by root 2 of the maximum value or 0.707 of the maximum value. So we are sine of angle equal to plus or minus 1 by root 2. By substituting that, I will get the angle part plus or minus 60 degree or plus or minus 120 degree. You can compare. You can compare plus or minus 60 degree, plus or minus 120 degrees coming in both the cases. Both in case 1 and case 2, we are getting half power point angle 60 and 120. But various, the maximum and minimum is getting reversed when compared to case 1. Now this one is a radiation pattern available. Just have a look at the diagram. Totally, this diagram is opposite to case 1. In case 1, we saw figure of 8 in the vertical portion. In case 2, we are seeing the figure of 8 in the horizontal position. There we got maxima at 90 and 270 degree. But here we are getting maxima at 0 and 180 degree. Minima at 90 and 270. But there is no change in half power point 60 and minus 60 plus 120 and minus 120. So this one is the radiation pattern we are getting for case number 2. Case number 3. So what is case 3? Case 3 is unequal in amplitude and any phase. Phase may be equal or phase may be even opposite also. But the amplitude is unequal. Now this time I'm locating the first source at the origin. Second source at point 2. D is the distance. This one is the angle pi. This is d cos phi. The path difference between 1 and 2 is nothing but d cos phi. D cos phi. Whereas in the previous case is also d cos phi. But we have put d by 2 cos phi plus d by 2 cos phi. This one is the vector diagram. Angle side, total phase difference. E, total electric field strength. E1, electric field strength because of antenna element 1. E2, electric field strength because of antenna element 2. So this portion, KE1 cos psi. This portion, KE1 sin psi. What is the relation between E1 and E2? E1 greater than E2. E1 greater than E2. How E1 is greater than E2? E2 equal to K times E1. E2 equal to K times E1, the value of K lying between 0 and 1. So normally E2 will be less than E1. So unequal amplitude and any phase, we are going to discuss it now. So why we are placing source 1 at the origin means we are taking source 1 as a reference. Source 1 is taken as a reference for the phase. So the amplitude of the field due to source 1 and source 2 are E1 and E2. E1 is greater than E2 as shown in the vector diagram. So where is the vector diagram? This one is the vector diagram. Now the total phase difference psi equal to KD cos pi plus alpha. So KD cos pi plus alpha in the previous case 1 and 2, psi equal to KD cos pi, but alpha is not coming into picture. Now alpha is coming into picture. So what is alpha? Alpha is the phase angle between the current flowing in antenna element 1 and 2. So that phase angle is getting added here. So what is the resultant field? Et equal to E1 e power j naught plus E2 e power j psi. We are locating the first source at the origin. So psi will become 0. E1 e power j0 plus E2 e power j psi. It becomes E1 plus E2 e power j psi. Dividing by E1 both the terms, we'll get E1 into 1 plus E2 by E1 e power j psi. This e power j psi can be separated in terms of trigonometric function. E power j psi equal to cos psi plus j sin psi. I'm substituting here. K value equal to E2 by E1. So this becomes E1 into 1 plus K cos psi plus j sin psi, equation 3.24. We know that E1 greater than E2, K value lies between 0 and 1. The magnitude and the phase angle, we are calculating the magnitude and the phase angle from this equation. This one is the magnitude value and this one is the phase angle. So I come from the beginning. We have taken a 2-point array. There are only 2 sources, 2 antenna element 1 and 2. 3 conditions are available. First condition, equal amplitude and equal phase. Second condition, equal amplitude and opposite phase. Third condition, unequal amplitude and any phase. For each and every case, we are calculating the expression for the total field strength Et. Then we go for maxima direction, minima direction, and the off power point direction. With that, we are able to draw the radiation pattern for case 1 and case 2. Case 3, we are not finding the maxima direction, minima direction, and off power point direction. Because we don't know the amplitude value, we don't know the phase angle. So generally, we are getting the expression for the total field strength Et. So any difficulty in this topic, you can put it in the chat box. Any difficulty in this topic? 2-point array source. If you have any difficulty, you can any doubt or clarification, you can ask me. If there is no clarification, I can move to the next topic. Okay, one student is asking, can you explain the conditions again? We'll go to the PowerPoint once again. I've taken an array of 2-point sources. 3 conditions are there. But why I've taken 2-point array means simplest array. 2 elements are there. Manipulation, calculation becomes easier. When manipulation and calculation becomes easier, I can apply for n element array. But 3 conditions has to be tested. Equal magnitude and same phase. Second one, equal magnitude and opposite phase. Third one, unequal magnitude and any phase. But for each and every case, we are going to draw the radiation pattern. We are going to draw the radiation pattern for case 1 and case 2, but we are not going to draw the radiation pattern for case 3. Case 1 and case 2 will do. So to draw the radiation pattern, I need 3 angles. One is maxima angle, another one is minima angle, third one is half power point angle. To get this angle, I need an expression for the total electric field at the distant point P because of the antenna array. That is what in each and every case we are calculating the expression for the total electric strength ET 2 E0 cos of KD cos pi by 2. So from this only we are able to determine the maxima direction, minima direction, half power point direction for case 1. Similarly, there is a change in the total electric field strength ET when I am changing the phase. How it is getting changed? Minus E1. Previously, E1 and E2 are equal in amplitude and equal in phase. But here, they are equal in amplitude, but opposite phase. Why opposite phase? We are having a negative sign here. So they are opposite in phase. So there is a change in the total electric field strength. Instead of cos angle, I am getting a sine angle. So here also, I should determine the maxima direction, minima direction, half power point direction. Finally, plot the radiation pattern. Why we are plotting the radiation pattern? From the radiation pattern only, we can judge that maximum radiation where it is available, minimum radiation where it is available. So where are the half power points? With that only, we can decide the performance of a particular antenna array, and then we can go for practical. First of all, theoretically, we should have some manipulation. These theoretical manipulation or calculation will help us to go to design an antenna practically for high frequency application. That is what we are, these topics we are dealing in detail. Third case, I am not drawing the radiation pattern. I am not finding the maximum, minimum and half power point. We are just finding the expression for VT only, total field strength. Now, n element uniform linear antenna array. By this topic, let me close the lecture. So we have seen initially what is meant by antenna array, types of antenna array, 2-element antenna array. That is 2-element, 2-point source means 2-element antenna array we have seen. Now we are going to apply the concept for n-element uniform linear antenna array. The definition for linear array is given here. Linear array means all the elements, antenna elements are spaced equally along a straight line. Uniform array means all the elements will be given equal magnitude and the progressive phase shift along the line. Progressive means the phase shift between antenna element 1 and 2 will be equivalent to 2 and 3 will be equivalent to 3 and 4. So we call it as linear antenna array. How many elements we are going to use? We are going to use n number of isotropic point sources. So it is called n-point array. We call it as an n-point array. N-point uniform linear array. You can see the diagram. We are having two axes, x and y. The number of antenna element equal to n. That means 0 to n minus 1 points are available. 0 is the origin, n minus 1. This is the distant point P where we are going to calculate the total electric field strength ET. First antenna element, second, third, 4, 5 is shown here. Distance between the antenna element is small letter d. You can see the angle between the radiation and the x-axis equal to pi. The total phase difference equal to psi. This path difference equal to d cos pi. Why we are calculating the path difference means what is the difference between this one and this? What is the path difference between 0 and 1? D cos pi. Path difference between 1 and 2, d cos pi. Path difference between 0 and 2, 2d cos pi. So like that, we can calculate the path difference between any one radiation of any antenna element. So these are the points available here. N number of antenna elements, angle pi, path difference d cos pi, distant point P, x and y axis. We are having an origin. Distance between each and every antenna element small letter d. This is called n element uniform array. Let us go to the calculation of total electric field strength. We are having only 2 more slides for completion. So total electric field strength ET, I'm adding everything. E naught e power J0. Why J0? Because at the center, the first antenna element I'm locating. That is why we are getting n minus 1. See, the first antenna element located at the origin. So here psi equal to 0. That is why angle equal to 0. E naught e power J0. Second antenna element. Where is the second antenna element? Number 1. First is 0. Second is number 1. That is why you are getting n minus 1. But actually we have n number of elements. So E naught e power J psi plus E naught e power 2 J psi. So likewise we will be getting adding n minus 1 J psi, equation 1. I am taking E naught common. So everything will get added like this: 1 plus e power J psi, e power J 2 psi will go to e power J n minus 1 psi. Now I am substituting psi equal to kd cos pi plus alpha. So I am substituting kd cos pi plus alpha. So when I substitute that, and then I'm multiplying e power J side on the both the side. I'm multiplying equation e power J side on both the side. When I multiply it, I will get et e power J psi E naught. So you will get here e power J psi. This term will become e power J 2 psi. This will become 3 J psi. Then finally n minus will become n J psi. Subtracting equation 327 and 328. So I'm subtracting this equation 328 from 327. The third equation I'm subtracting from the second equation. I will get et 1 minus e power J psi equal to E naught 1 minus e power J n psi. So other terms will get cancelled. See, the similar terms and all will get cancelled. E power J 2 psi, e power J 2 psi will cancel each other. E power J psi, e power J will cancel each other. So we'll get a simplified expression et equal to et into 1 minus e power J psi equal to E naught 1 minus n J psi. I want to find the ratio et by E naught. This one is the common field strength. This one is the total field strength, et by E naught. You get like this. So let us substitute e power J n psi in terms of n by 2 J psi. And we are taking a common factor here, substituting the trigonometric function here. So any angle can be substituted in terms of e power angle psi by 2. So psi by 2 upper part, psi by 2 denominator part. Then we are taking a common part n minus 1. Then we want to find the antenna array factor. What is antenna array factor? Antenna array factor equal to et by E naught, AF equal to only the sine part. You can see the sine part, this will become sine, this also will become sine, sine n by 2 psi, sine 1 by 2 psi. So this angle part is called array factor. I want to find the maximum value of et maximum. Et maximum equal to E naught into n. What is n? N is this value, antenna array factor. So when I substitute that value et by et maximum, I will get the normalized value. So normalized value equal to et by E naught equal to 1 by n is already there. So sine n by 2 psi divided by n sine 1 by 2 psi. Now antenna array factor means this is the antenna array factor, normalized antenna array factor. Initially we got antenna array factor. Here we get normalized antenna array factor. So we have constructed a n element uniform linear array, which is similar to 2 element uniform array. So here we are trying to find out the expression for total field strength et, multiplying by e power J psi on both the side. We do some subtraction. Then we are simplifying. We are substituting sign in the terms of e power J items. Then we are finding the antenna array factor. I want to find the normalized antenna array factor. So that becomes 1 by n sine n by 2 psi divided by sine 1 by 2 psi. For today's lecture class, let me conclude. In the beginning, under unit number 1, I was telling briefly about radiation from half-wave dipole or monopole. Half-wave dipole means practical antenna length lambda by 2. Monopole means practical antenna length lambda by 4. Initially, we are finding the vector potential. From the vector potential, we are calculating h pi. From h pi, we are calculating e theta. So H pi, E theta and the vector potential are the equations concerned with the radiation from half a dipole or monopole. In this unit, we started with the introduction to antenna array. Introduction to antenna array, types of antenna arrays. Then we came to array of 2-point sources. It is also called 2-point uniform linear array. So here 3 conditions are there, 3 cases are there. For each and every case, we determine the maxima direction, minima direction, of our point. We were able to draw the radiation pattern for all the 3 cases. And we went to n-point n-element linear array. So in this n-element linear array, what we are doing means we are drawing the diagram. We are getting the expression for the total electric field strength, from which we are finding the array factor. Then we go for the normalized value and the normalized array factor. Any doubt in this previous topic, n-element uniform linear array? You can put it in the chat box if there is any doubt or clarification regarding this n-element uniform linear array. Now, one more thing I want to tell. One more thing I want to tell is regarding the Google Classroom. All the students have registered with their official email ID. That is okay. But there is a little bit thing you have to do it. See that your name and the registered number are visible. In some cases, I'm seeing the students, they don't have any registered number along with that name. So see that your name and registered number should be visible. You can modify that name in your email setting. Go to your email ID address, general setting. You modified it. Your name, your full name need not be there. Your calling name may be there. Rudra Verma followed by his registered number. You need not write Ganga Raju Rudra Verma and finally followed by a registered number. Rudra Verma name must be simple followed by registered number, so that your visibility becomes very easier. When you increase your visibility, giving attendance becomes easier, as well as marks, assignment marks and the internal test marks becomes easier for the people, for the teaching faculty. So that do this modification in your email ID, automatically will get visibility in the Google Classroom. Because some students are having the visibility, only name is visible, register number is not there. When register number is not there, it is very difficult to award mark for a particular student, because names may be similar, names may be confusing. You may not be using the official name and all. So your registered number along with the name should be visible both in the Google Meeting as well as in the Google Classroom. For your benefit only, I am telling. Make this modification at the earliest. So if there is no clarification or doubt regarding this session, shall I conclude the meeting? Shall I close the meeting? Shall we close the meeting?
Sir, a small information needed required.
Sai Ganesh, shall I close the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hello.
Thank you for attending this. Thank you for attending this session. I first close the recording also.